Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Maxine. I have Avoidant Personality Disorder and ADHD, and that's what we talk about here. Today we're going to be talking about suicidal ideation. I was questioning whether or not I wanted to dance around those words or not in this video because I know they make people really uncomfortable. But that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how I deal with that. And if anybody from my real life sees this, I'm okay. Please don't worry about me. It's fine. I have these strategies that help me, and everything is good. So, yeah. With that said, I did try to film this yesterday when I was not in a good place, and here's a clip of how that went. But I'm back today, I'm feeling better, and it's rough out here for people with chronic mental illness. A lot of us have been struggling for decades and have probably had to come to terms with the fact that we may struggle for the rest of our lives. And that can be incredibly daunting when you're tired. When you're tired and you don't feel good, and sometimes it doesn't feel worth it. And if you've ever felt that way, if you feel that way right now, I see you, I feel you, I'm sorry. And, I'm not a professional, I'm not a counselor, but I've also had to live my life largely without a counselor. And these are things that I have found in my own life, a couple of strategies that help me when I am at my lowest point and really tired of fighting and feel like giving up. This is what helps me to not give up. So I'm encouraging you not to give up, and hopefully at least one of these things can help you. So the first thing for me is, I've mentioned before that because of my mental illness, I don't expect that I will ever be in the place to have children, to feel comfortable having and raising children, because I have so many struggles just managing myself. But I see as I grow older how much having children brings a lot of purpose to people's lives. It gives them a reason to get out of bed, to improve their life, to earn more money, to plan fun experiences and try new things. And my advice is not to have children. But for me, having a pet or having pets was really, really instrumental in helping me get through my hardest days before I had the other strategies that I'm going to talk about. Before those other things, it was just me and my dog. And I know it's a cliche. It's a cliche with millennial women and their attachment to their dogs. And, there's a cliche saying that's something along the lines of my rescue dog rescued me. But that was literally so true in my case when I got my first dog, Atlas, like 4.5 years ago now. I was in a terrible, terrible place mentally, and I didn't have anyone that I felt like I could go to for help. And my love for that dog and the dog's love for me really got me through a time that was otherwise incredibly lonely. And for those of us with avoidant personality disorder that struggle to connect with other people because of this fear of rejection and this fear of not being good enough, you can count on your pet to love you unconditionally, and they won't care about all of these other little social things that we worry about so much. So if you're in a place to have a pet, I recommend it. I genuinely don't think I will ever be without pets. Like, I can't imagine what I would do with myself if I didn't have my pets. So that's number one. That was my number one for a long time. Number two is something that I've found semi-recently that really helps me. And I hope that nobody sees this as insensitive. I don't think that it would be, but I could also see how somebody might take it that way. But cat. But another thing that I've found really helps inspire me to continue to live my life when it feels too hard is going on YouTube and finding people sharing their stories of life-altering illness or injury. People that were able-bodied and then became disabled, or people that are battling a terminal illness or something like that, and following their stories and letting them inspire me. And the reason that I could see that how this could come across as like insensitive, because you know what I'm getting at. But I think a lot of people that share their stories with that do so in the hopes of inspiring other people to not take their situation for granted and to live their life to the fullest and appreciate what they have. And that is what those videos do for me. It's not to minimize my struggles in comparison to anybody else's, or like invalidate my struggles in any way. I understand that the illness that I live with is real just as much as a physical illness is. But to see somebody that either has it harder than I have it, if you want to say it like that, or just somebody that I perceive to be struggling from something worse than what I'm struggling with, and to see them pursuing life and appreciating every moment, and not taking any of that time for granted or any of their abilities for granted because of what they went through, is so inspiring to me. And I found that helps me get through the hardest days. I am able to redirect my thought process from what I'm missing and what I'm lacking to what I'm grateful to still have in my life. And on my darkest days, that helps me. It helps to have that mindset of gratitude. And I think I hope that's what those people are intending by sharing their stories. And that's how they affect me, and that helps me. Number 3, similar to this idea of gratitude, is, and maybe this one might just be me, like, I don't know. Maybe not everybody feels this way, but for me, I've noticed when I do have a really good day, or even just a really good moment, right? Like a really sweet interaction, just a sweet human interaction with a stranger at the store, or, a really nice weather day and like taking a walk on a nice day, or receiving a really sweet supportive comment. It takes so little for me to feel grateful that I didn't give up before. And it really does feel like one good day for me can be so good that I feel in that moment that it was worth the pain that I've been through in my life. I know that sounds cheesy, but a lot of times we can go weeks or months without feeling that spark of joy, and that's when it really feels like you will never feel it again. But I try to keep those little moments in my brain of connection and joy and happiness. And for me, at least, even if I only get that once a month, then that's worth it to me, because there are things about this life that are very sweet, and that's what I use to keep me going sometimes. Maybe was that helpful at all? That one's kind of obvious, I guess, but that's what I do. I think about little moments where I was really happy, and if there's any chance for me to have that again in the future, then it's worth it for me. And finally, for my fellow ADHDers out there, one thing about us is that we are top tier procrastinators. And for me, when all else fails, I just think to myself, you could just do it later. You don't have to do it now. You can do it tomorrow. You can do it next week. You could do it later. You don't have to do it now. You could do it later. Just like with anything else, I put it off until I don't feel that way anymore. And again, I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but it works for me. It's funny. It's like it requires action, just like anything else, which means I'm probably not going to do it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't make jokes. I was not in this spirit yesterday, trust me. But, we gotta laugh. We gotta laugh about it. This is my life every day. But yeah, if all else fails, just do it later. You don't have to do it now. just who knows? Who knows if it gets better? It could get better. You don't know. Just don't worry about it now. Just do it later. My favorite way to procrastinate is by just going to sleep. That's what I did yesterday. I went to sleep super early because I couldn't shake the negative, really, really intensely cruel negative self-talk. I couldn't shut it up. I didn't have weed to drown it out. So I went to sleep and I thought, I cannot deal with this right now. I'll deal with it tomorrow. And I woke up today and I feel a little better. And sometimes it's just like that. Again, I don't mean to minimize any or laugh at anybody who's going through hard things. I laugh at myself. I have to laugh in these topics to get through them. I know it's not funny, but you just gotta keep going. You just have to keep going. And people say it gets better. It does, and then it gets worse again. That's, in my experience, that's life. It's not just gonna get better and then be good forever. That's not what that shouldn't be the goal. At one point it was for me, and that made it a lot more difficult to cope with, the reality that every time I get better, it gets worse again. But now that I know that's just life, it's up and it's down, and sometimes it's down for a long, long time. Sometimes it's up for a long, long time for some people. But it'll get better and it'll get worse. And the best thing that I've found that I can do is find ways to get through the times when it's down and find ways to cling to the times that it's up and hold on to those for when that time passes. So I hope this was helpful in some way. Again, if you guys are struggling, me too, on any given day. But keep going. It's worth it. At some point, it's worth it. And we have to believe that. And I love you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.